Hey everybody, Poppy Dennison here, coming to you live from Austin, Texas, where I'll be attending the Texas Library Association meeting coming up this week. I have taken over my friend's husband's office, so the area isn't what you're used to seeing. So that's where I am coming to you live from. We are here tonight to talk about Tere Michaels' Faith and Fidelity. And I know this is a very beloved book and series, and I can't wait to talk to you guys about it. So go ahead and leave questions in the question box. Leave some comments for me. Ask some questions. Hoping that Terry's going to be able to join us tonight, but we're not 100% sure. So if she is able to be here, she's going to pop in and join us. And you'll be able to see her and hear her live as well. If not, we will save your questions and pass them on to Terry. I know she'd love to hear from you. So we will go ahead and get started. I'm going to do some rearranging of my screen here so that I can see all of your questions. Running a few minutes late tonight because I was having some technical difficulties. Apparently my computer decided that it did not want to have a video chat tonight, and it made me reboot. That wasn't very nice of it. So, but that was running a little bit late tonight here, so sorry about that. So let me get started and see if you guys have already left me some questions. I know I had asked for some a few minutes ago. Hi, Jules. I see you here this evening. Nama, you are here as well. We're very happy to have you both here, both loyal Dream Readers attendees. We just love you guys. Really appreciate you being here. So I see Nama says how much she really enjoyed the series. Yeah, you can't stop this series. Once you start it, it's sort of notorious for being one of those series that just sucks you in, and you cannot put the books down once you get them started. I wanted to touch on this is actually one of the topics that I wanted to touch on tonight, is that a lot of people consider the Faith, Love, and Devotion series what they call a gateway book. And what I mean by that is that it's usually one of the very first books that readers of gay romance tend to pick up. I wanted to know if you guys had any thoughts on that. Was it one of your first books? I think that it's one of those things that I don't know if it's the subject, if the fact that it's set in New York, if it's the theme of sort of that friends to lovers, or, I don't know, or is it just that it's cops, right? Because that's both really fantastic, and the characters themselves. Really curious as to your thoughts on that. So drop me a line, let me know what you think on that. I'm going to try hitting refresh here. I have a feeling it's going to be an interesting night since my computer has already decided that it just does not like me today. It's just kind of funny. So yes, Jules, we can't help ourselves. Yeah, we can't. They're very addictive. I think this is one of those series that you can't you can't help but love. So, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and start the ball rolling here and talk about the gut-wrenching sobbing that I did in the opening sequence of this book. Who was with me? Anyone else just like gut-wrenching tears, like you could feel Evan's grief, like you had lost your own partner, like your high school sweetheart had just passed tragically. I mean, I can't tell you the sobs, like the alligator tears, mascara, eyeliner, the whole mat. I was like raccoon face. It was horrible. And the funny thing is that I've reread this book several times. Every single time it gets me. I mean, Evan's grief is like, it's one of the most powerful things that I've ever read. And I can't help but sobbing every single time. So what about you? Anybody else there with me? Because I'm telling you what, that grief, and it goes throughout the book. I mean, he is very much a man who is grieving. And the funeral scene, don't even get me going there, man. When he does that, oh, I'm tearing up just thinking about it. Isn't that, it's crazy sauce, but yeah. Can't handle how much grief that is. I want to throw out there, if I'm like coughing and hacking a little bit tonight, apparently the oaks are like pollinating or something here in Texas. And let me tell you, apparently my allergies do not like it when oaks do their pollinating business, because it's been really precious. So if you hear me making rather strange noises, I actually have a drink here handy tonight just to kind of help me, but I apologize in advance if I make any strange noises. These things happen when you have allergies. I'm sure you guys are sympathetic with me. So yeah, see some comments coming in. Thank you guys. Jules' Gateway was something she read way in the beginning, and she has always had a friend's lover saying yes, tots, older guys, and Jules, I am so there with you. That you ticked mark the same boxes. I think we read all the same books. It is friends to lovers, pops, older guys, and there's children involved. That ticks all of my marks. I mean, those are if I could have like a checklist on the books that I want to read, it's like sort of with me, if it has any three of those four things, it's sort of like, give me those. If you got 3 out of 5, whatever, you know what I mean. That's a book, and the chances are I'm going to absolutely love it, right? So I think Tere really managed to capture something really special in what she did. And the thing is that this book has been out for several years. I mean, if you consider that it was first published in 2008, I believe. Somebody can correct me there if I'm just pulling that date out of the air, but I'm pretty sure it was 2008. It's unbelievable. I know I first read it in 2010, and it's really just one of those books that never leaves you. I mean, once you've read it, it is there with you forever. And I think you guys have been awesome tonight. I'm seeing the comments coming in. This is fantastic. Normally the comments take a minute. They don't seem to be doing that to me tonight. So, hi, Marissa. Thank you for joining us. Oh, yeah, you've got to read the entire series. It's just such a magical series. I'm so excited. 2 more weeks, guys. 2 more weeks for Truth and Tenderness, which is the final book in the series, and honestly, cannot wait. No, I have not gotten a sneak peek. People ask me if I get to read the books in advance. No, just because I work for Dreamspinner doesn't mean I get to read the books in advance. Although I think I need to renegotiate my contract to make that part of it. You think they'd go for it? No, they probably wouldn't, but boy, would I really love to read some of these things in advance. But no, I read in the same time as you guys do. So Marissa, really check out the entire series. Be ready for when Truth and Tenderness comes out here in a couple more weeks. You will not regret it. Jules says one of the things she liked about this book is that Evan honestly, passionately loved his wife. A man can love a woman just as passionately, and a man later on. And I think that is the honest truth. And I think that is really what drives this book home for so many of us, is that it is a deep and abiding love that Evan has for his wife. And he truly is devoted to her. And but he makes mistakes in that relationship. I mean, he realizes that he's devoted so much time to his career, and he hasn't spent the time, and he has those regrets. And I think it really colors the relationship that he then develops with Matt. So it's really just one of those magical things that I'm going to have to take a drink. I see this oak trees. I'm telling you guys, oak trees. So, Jules, I don't know if you'll be able to handle the end of the series. Don't, Jules, who do you think you're kidding? You're reading the end of the series. You know you will. Come on. I don't know who you think you're fooling there. Nama says, do you think that the fact that they struggle with their sexuality is also a reason for it to be a gateway book? I never thought about that, but I think that could really be that's probably is part of it, why so many of us connect to it in the beginning, because I think when there's a lot of moments when you're that first time you pick up a gay romance and you're not entirely certain what you're going to get. And in this, you realize that there is this struggle for identity. And when someone can come to terms with their identity and find love and happiness and their own happily ever after, it is a true romance. And I think once that you make that sort of connection, you say, yes, it's love, it's beautiful, it's real. And it's sort of that love is love moment that so many of us have. And when you kind of like that light goes on and you're like, it doesn't matter, love is love across the board, and it's a beautiful thing. So yeah, I think really it could be one of the driving factors. I mean, as Jules and I were saying earlier, but it hits a lot of those other marks. It's got the kids, it's got the cops, you've got the New York element, and Tere writes New York so beautifully. She captures that essence of the city in a way that is just really a beautiful thing. So okay, so even though I was running a little bit late, I'm going to take a moment here to do my first giveaway. I do not have them with me since I did not want to pack everything in my suitcase, but as you guys know, we give away DreamReaders swag items during these events, and it's a lot of fun. this is stuff you can only get when you attend the events. So we do the big coffee mugs. We have travel mugs and things. So I think we will do, we'll do one of the coffee mugs. So if one of you guys would like to win a coffee mug, you've not won one already, just leave coffee. Leave me a comment that says coffee, and we'll do that. We'll choose those winners there at the end, and we'll make sure we contact you. So good stuff, good stuff. So I'm gonna refresh here again, see if we've got some questions. Okay, Jules says that she's there's a huge storm her way, so she might disappear on us. Hopefully not, Jules, because it's always such a great time to have you here. Hello, Allison. I see that Allison, has joined us. I'm glad that you're here with us. So, okay, so we mentioned that one of our little tick boxes that I'd mentioned was the fact that this book has kids in it. I think that when a story has kids in it, it's one of those things that, for me anyway, it's either hit or miss. Like I either love it or I hate it. Do you know what I mean by that? It's either like the kids are there and they're part of it, right? And I think in this case, because Evan is a widower and he suddenly has to really take over the full job of raising his children. I mean, his 4 children, and they're grieving the loss of their mother. And it's just so powerful. You really just have to feel so bad for him, especially when you kind of realize that he hasn't been as present as he could have been because he's so focused on his job. So I think that that's one of the things that is really powerful for me anyways, because the kids really play a vital role in, well, really for both characters, I think. So leave me some comments, let me know what you think. So Evan, struggling as a dad, I think that was a really important part of the story and his grieving process and how he sort of shuts himself down, and Matt sort of through these weird, encounters when they go to bars and they're developing this true friendship that leads to something more. That the kids really, it does, if it wouldn't be the same without them, I guess is what I'm trying to spit out in my long and rambling way here tonight. So what do you guys think? And the other part of that question that I want to throw out at you is what did you think about how Matt interacted with the kids? Because I think that's really powerful as well, because it doesn't work, right? I mean, in essence, Matt becomes the step parent, and it's a struggle, I mean, all of a sudden he's a single guy, he's a bachelor, he's got his own problems, and now he comes in, the man that he's falling in love with is not only grieving, he's had this terrible loss, but he's also trying to raise 4 children on his own. And I think it just played such a powerful point in the development of both of the characters as they sort of overcame their own issues, and how it sort of developed their love story into really becoming a family. Yes, I've seen both Nama and Jules. I'm seeing, Nama, you really want some coffee? We'll have to hook you up. Be sure, Nama, email me at poppy@dreamspinnerpress.com. We'll take care of your coffee mug. I see that for you. Okay, so Nama says the kids are amazing, and she loved how the kids seemed to adopt Matt to the family long before they knew about the relationship. Absolutely. And because I think that through when it starts, and they start going to the bar and they're talking and they're having their beer and they're having their horrible bar food and they're just talking, and finally, Evan, I think in particular, he sort of starts coming back to life, and that's the first time he really has started feeling and living again, other than just the day to day. And he says in a couple places where he's just shut down, and like I think at one point he says his daughter like is snuggled up to him, and I think they were watching TV or something. You guys can correct me there. And I think she's like snuggling up to him on the couch or something, and he just feels nothing, and he has to like look down to see that her hand is actually on his leg, and because he just isn't feeling a thing. And I'm like, what a powerful moment, and it just guts me. See, there I go, getting a little teary again, but it's just really so powerful. Jules says, yes, sometimes the kids are a little too precocious or not as real as you expect. Having the kids older in this book allows them to interact more with Matt as confidant or even a friend. See, absolutely. And I think that was a really bold choice on Tere's part, because we don't often see teenagers in books who are still treated as kids. Does that? And I think I'm saying that the way I want to say it there. But you know, they're not treated as their own possible love story, if that makes sense. They really are his children, and I think that because the story is fully from their point of view, it really makes it this really powerful. They're such powerful characters on their own, and they really do drive the relationship forward in a really incredible way because they have voices, and it's not like you said, it's not the precocious voice of a toddler or a cute little kid. You know, they're older, they have their own personalities, they definitely have their own opinions, and they're willing to push back. And I think that you know they're realizing how much their dad is hurting as well. So they're very powerful characters. So Jules has added that really is something that was trial by fire for Matt. He had to step up to take over so many parental duties that he had never done before. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you flash to those scenes when Matt is alone in his apartment, and it's like I don't know, it's like all about the beer and the mess and the tininess and the gloominess. And then he goes into this home that, you know, I get this impression that, you know, Evan's wife was like Wonder Woman, you know, like she was super mom. And so she always had like a great dinner on the table, and the house looked fantastic, and everything was clean and not, you know, not cluttered and put away and nice. And do you know what I mean? Like, I bet their house would have been on Pinterest. You know where I'm going with that? Like where everything was just really nicely put together. Um, and then, you know, Evan has to take care of it all himself. And, you know, I can't imagine what that must be like. But then you bring Matt in, who is living in the gloomy apartment. And I just got such a great visual that this was just kind of this podunk, run down, like shabby kind of place. And kind of what a juxtaposition that is, where it's not, you know, it doesn't make it makes Matt like really a fish out of water, I guess. And so it was really, you know, he comes in and he's doing these things, and it's like, wait, why am I doing this? And oh, just it's so good. I'm trying not to like say the entire book, and obviously that's not happening because, you know, as I do, I tend to blather on. But I really just think that, you know, through all the ups and downs and all that, how difficult it all is, I think that that's one of the things that the arcs of these two characters is so beautifully done, where you really do see how much they are changing and how much they, you know, learn to depend on each other when they've both been so alone and in such darkness. So, okay, so Nama says, to be honest, one thing I was a bit surprised with the kids' reaction to the relationship, especially Miranda. I half expected the kids' reaction to be tell us something we don't know, or at least, well, that explains it. Yeah, you know, I think that that's one of the things that Jules has just said the apartment was janky. That's a fantastic word. Yes, I think that it was. I had such a great visual of what it was, and it just in my head, I just pictured it so clearly. I think janky is a fantastic word, Jules, for the apartment, Matt's apartment. Okay, so let's talk about Miranda a little bit. I think that, you know, Evan's daughter. Can somebody remind me how old she is? Because I did not actually write that down in my notes, and now I can't remember. She's a teenager. For those of you watching who may not have read the book, but you know, she's a teenager, typical teenager, I think, in a lot of ways. But she's had to step up. You know, I mean, her mom's gone, and the challenge of that is very much a challenge for the entire family, not just for Evan. I mean, and the loss and the grief is definitely something that is felt by the entire family. So it's really is sort of this powerful sort of emotion that is not it's not something that's simply grief. I think you guys understand what I mean by that. There's so much loss, and yes, it's the grief, but it's that relearning the day to day. It's figuring out who's going to cook dinner and clean the house and do the laundry and take care of all those day to day chores that weren't always handled. And then you throw the grandparents into the mix, and you know that's a whole nother discussion, which I'm sure we'll get into. So you guys go ahead and leave me the comments. Leave me the comments about the grandparents, because I'm sure everybody's going to have some opinions there, because I sure did. So yeah, what do you guys think about Miranda? I mean, I think that the kids' reactions is one of the important things in this book, and of course for Evan, you know, that the kids had to be there with him, because if the kids weren't on board, how could he really be? But of course, it's not an easy process. So I don't know. Leave me some comments. Let me know what you think about the kids and how that sort of came to be an acceptance of the relationship and who Matt was and becoming. And let me know what you think. Leave me some comments there. So, okay. So Jules says she doesn't feel that so much that Matt wasn't just falling in love with Evan. He was falling in love with the kids too. Yes, I agree. She says it's hard to describe on paper. See, and that's one of the things that's the magic that is Tere. Because I think what she did is that I don't think that Matt just fell in love with Evan. I think Matt fell in love with the entire family, sort of warts and all. And I think for him, he found home. He found a place where he was needed in a way he had never been needed before. And I don't think that he quite was prepared for those emotions and those feelings. And what a struggle, and what an incredibly brave thing to do, to step into a relationship with 4 children. I mean, I can't imagine. I know when we have our family dinners, and I have 5 nephews and a niece, and we're all together, and I want to pull my hair out, right? Like, you can handle like an hour, and then you're like, oh my gosh, there's so many kids, and he's actually stepping in and stepping into that role and taking that on, and it's pretty special, right? I mean, I think that's actually a pretty amazing thing. But yes, I think what Tere has done so beautifully, Jules, as you said, is he fell in love with the entire family, and he wanted to be part of their lives. And I think that the really special thing was that he wasn't sure where he fit, and he needed to figure out what his role was and what his role was going to be. So, yeah, Jules, yeah. I've given up on the spoiler alerts for this. Jules says it's hard for me not to give away too many spoilers in these videos. But, at this point, I think if you haven't read it, if you have not read Faith and Fidelity, you need to read Faith and Fidelity right now. And if you've made it this far into this video, then yes, you know a lot of things that are going to happen, but you still will. It's magical, and you still have to read it. So I'm going to keep giving you spoilers because I'm going to guess for the most part you've already read it. See, I think that's fair, right? You guys with me? I think that's fair. So, Nama says it's really interesting that both Evan and Matt had a troubled childhood. They didn't have good memories themselves, but they really want to make some for the kids. Yes, absolutely. There's a scene in the beginning when Evan says something along the lines of he didn't bring anything to the relationship, that all came from his wife. The families, the how they did their sort of family traditions, how they did everything was based on her family, her brothers and sisters, her aunts and uncles, her cousins. Like, that whole thing was everything that they became as a family, as referring to Evan and his wife, all came from his wife's side. He brought nothing to the table. And so I think that the loss was even more tragic in that way. And it gave him that many more, that much more challenge going forward, because he really, in a way, they were his family. I mean, come on, they've been together since they were 14. I think that they all sort of become family when you've been, with your partner for that long. I hope for most folks that's true, right? But I think that one of the things that was really tragic in this was that, Evan's complete loss and his fear of how much he was going to lose, and how much he had lost, not just with his wife, but with the entire family. Like, where does the line go down? Where does everything cross, and it's sort of like, who gets who in the divorce, but who gets who after a loss like this? I mean, I don't know. It's just really, really tragic. But yes, they both had these incredibly bad childhoods, which has really turned into them being so distant as adults. So it's really difficult. I think that it would be really fantastic. Of course we can't do this, but we all want to. Like, I really wish that I could ask Evan's wife what she felt. What does she think about it? Like, and I just got this feeling that she would just be happy that he was happy. Like, I would think that that's what she would want, right? So, really, really special. So, oh, Marissa, thank you. Miranda is 17. Yes, that was a question I had asked earlier. How old is Miranda? And she's 17. That's what I was thinking. Oh, Nama told me to look, everything just sort of refreshing. Yes, 17. So, yeah, just so And Jules says, "Oi, the grandparents." And Nama again, the grandparents talk about intolerance. Um, yeah, and it's really hard because I think that when you not, I mean, they lost their daughter, right? So I mean, they're going through all this, and then Evan starts going through all these changes, and I mean, in their defense, which I really hate to do because they are so intolerant, but in their defense, he shut down. I mean, he didn't step up there for a long time. He was so buried in his own grief and in his own fears and in his own loss that, like you said, he built that wall. I mean, like, I mentioned earlier, his daughter snuggling with him on the couch, and he doesn't even acknowledge that feeling. He has to actually look, and I mean, he's so cut off. So, I mean, in their defense, a little bit, a tiny little, not if they're not supportive of their relationship, but I think they had a right to judge how much he was cutting the kids off. I do think that they needed some push there, but yeah, it's hard, the intolerance. Um, yeah, spoilers. Nama says spoilers can't ruin this book. It's amazing every time. Absolutely, I can't tell you how many times I've read this book. So, um, yeah, and Jules says that yes, that thinking that everything that defined your family is lost once your partner was gone. I mean, can you imagine? When he knows that that this is not. He's actually said that they are her family, and their family is based on her family. So then when she's gone and he brings in someone new, how does that mess with the entire family dynamic? I can't imagine. I mean, coming from my perspective, I think, God, what would you do? How awkward is that to be like, oh yeah, sorry, I miss your daughter and all. Check out this hot guy, right? I mean, I can't imagine. Like, I think that I don't think that they really could grasp that because they were. Hi, Karen. I see Karen's here. She has said that it was one of her first. Faith Fidelity was one of her first reads as well, and it hits all of your marks. I'm so glad, Karen. Thank you for joining us. Yes, it is definitely one of those weird sort of books that everybody just sort of seems to connect to. And then I don't think those happen very often, but it's really beautiful. So, okay, so I have another question for you guys so that I'll quit blabbing. I'm not going to quit blabbing. I don't know why I always say that I'm going to. Of course I'm going to. I'm the only person talking, but so what do you guys think about this being the last book in the series? Anybody else sort of like traumatized by that? Like, because like every good series has to come in and blah blah, yippee skippy. But we want, as readers, right? You want it to go on forever. Like, there's never enough. I don't want this to be the last book, but of course, it's the last book. So what are we gonna do? Like, I think that we're all just gonna like go on, like we're gonna have to like do a scheduled reread or something. So we all like say, okay, we're just gonna reread and pretend again that this is like the first time, and we'll do the whole series. I mean, is anybody with me? Like, when a beloved series like this ends, who else is traumatized? Anybody? Please, somebody else be traumatized, because I'm traumatized. I mean, come on. Somebody help me out here. I'm just watching, waiting for a comment to come through because I need somebody to tell me it's not just me. Like, and I start planning ahead. So, like, I know that Truth and Tenderness comes out May 1st. So I know that, so I just reread this one. I reread Faith Fidelity. Now I get to go through and like plan it out. Tell me, am I the only person who does this? So now I'm planning out the reread of the other books, right? So that when May 1st comes, I'm ready, right? Who's with me? Please tell me it's not just me. Somebody else has to help me out with this. But yeah, so I'm planning out my reading schedule so that I know that I will be able to read Truth and Tenderness and like have everything reread. So boom, I'm ready to go. Like, yeah. Jill says she's so sad, but she's looking forward to seeing what happens with the guys and the kids. I know, right? Like, I think that's one of the things. Like, you see the kids growing up, and I of course, I've read the blurb, right? Of Truth and Tenderness, I'm talking about here. So I've read the blurb, and I know that the kids are off in school and blah, So I mean, like, you have this. Oh no, Nama! I've now traumatized Nama because she didn't realize this is the last book in the series coming out here in a couple weeks. Yes, I'll quit talking about it, Nama. I didn't mean to break your heart. Well, we won't tell Tere. Okay, we'll just pretend we'll all gang up on Tere and we'll tell her she's got to write more. You think she's gonna fall for it? And she's not gonna fall for it. I know better. But it would be really fantastic if we could. So we'll just have to work on her. We'll see her at events, or we'll catch her online, and we'll just beg for more. I think that's very fair. Oh, and some. But Nama, I'm gonna send you a coffee mug. Does that make it better? We'll work on it. Speaking of, for those of you who are here and joining us, I always give away special Dream Readers prizes during these events. And I have a Dream Readers travel mug. If you are just joining us and you have not won a travel, or if you have not won a travel mug before and you would like to win one, I'll be tricky. I will, if you put down below, write Texas, since that's where I'm coming to you live from this week. I am traveling in Texas. So if you will put Texas in a comment and leave that for me, I will choose one of you who leaves the comments within the next couple minutes, and I'll send you a travel mug. So go ahead and do that. So I'm going to get back to my comments here. Boy, I'm laughing tonight. I know it's really hysterical. I'm going to blame it on the oak pollen. Apparently, the oak pollen makes me babble. My friend's husband is now making faces at me from the door, and I'm going to make one back at it. Okay, so I have something that I want to, this is a little bit on the controversial side. So I'm going to go controversial here for a minute. All right, let's talk about gay for you for a minute, because a lot of folks have labeled this book as what they call a gay for you. So, oh no, Jules. Okay, Jules says that the storm there is getting worse, so she's going to log out and unplug. Yes, Jules, don't. Yes, be safe, Jules. Leave us a note afterwards or something on here and let us know that you're okay. I would appreciate that. I'll worry otherwise, because I'm a worry wart. So, yes, please do that. So, okay. So, for the rest of you guys, questions. All right. There's this whole controversy around the sort of tag or the trope, whatever you want to call it, of gay for you. So for those of you who are not familiar, what that basically means is a previously straight character meets, in this case, another man, and they are only gay for that person, or they come out as gay for that person, and they've never been gay before, never had any sort of inkling before, I guess you would say, that they're gay. That's sort of what the gay for you idea is. And I think it's a really controversial, I know it's a very controversial sort of idea that a person who has never said that they're gay before, who's never really looked at another person of the same sex and thought, ooh, there's something there that I really like. So, but I think that in this case, and I've seen, and you can come down on whichever side of the argument that you want. I know some people, it's their absolute favorite thing to read, and for others, they absolutely can't stand it. I had a talk with an author a few weeks ago who basically it's his least favorite thing, and he absolutely can't stand it. And he has great reasons, and I respect that. So I was wondering what you guys think. I don't think that what I think that Tere did in this series, I think it transcends gay for you in so many ways, because I think that Evan and Matt were both growing, and they were both at turning points in their lives. And I think for me, that was the real key to this. I don't really consider it gay for you, as I consider it that these were two men who were both deep in grief. I mean, Matt is very much grieving the loss of his job and his identity in a way. I mean, he was a cop, and he made some choices that, right and wrong, I mean, they weren't all the right choices. Some of them were, it sounds like he was a little on the belligerent side. But, he's now grieving. He's lost his job. He's no longer a cop. And now we've got Evan, who's grieving the loss of the life and of his wife in the future and everything that they had. All right, Karen, we'll get you a mug here that way. All right, so we will do that. Karen, if you will email me, poppy@dreamspinnerpress.com, I will, if you'll send me your address through email, I will get you out a mug in the mail, okay? So, so Nama says that she's, okay, so Nama, I've not traumatized her quite as much. She's more excited about having a new book in the series than for the end. And that's the way you got to look at it. It's great. So, and Karen says that she loves how well-rounded the kids are in the series and that they aren't one-dimensional. And that's really, again, that's something that Tere did such an amazing job with. So, okay. So, all right. So I'm going to like give you guys a second to think about the Gay for You thing here. We're going to be wrapping up here in the next few minutes, but I wanted to give you a few minutes to leave any final comments. And I just thought I'd throw my final comments in since, I can do that because I'm here. I'm really silly tonight. I think I'm blaming it on the allergies, and there has been Benadryl involved. That's all I'm saying. I'm going to blame it on the Benadryl and the oak pollen, and that's really all I've got. Okay, so final thoughts for me on the series now that I'm sort of getting some drinking in here. So that I don't know if anybody else has ever been traumatized by oak pollen like this, but okay. Final thoughts on the series for me. I think that Tere really created some characters here that not only tick all of my boxes and things that I love, but I think that, like I said before, it is a true gateway series where if you have a person in your life who has never read a gay romance and they want something to read, this is a fantastic choice for so many reasons. But it really is something that so many people can enjoy. I think that in the characters, and we were saying this earlier, but every time you read them, you fall in love all over again, right? I mean, you grieve all over again. And how many books do you read where you actually like cry every single time you read it? I mean, not very many people can do that, but I think that, Evan's grief is so real that you can't not feel that way. So my final thoughts on the book. So, okay. So we are going to get this wrapped up here tonight. For those of you who are actually watching us on YouTube when we're no longer live, you can leave a comment as well. If you leave a comment on the YouTube side of this, we are going to choose a winner, and we'll be giving away a paperback copy of Faith Fidelity. So please leave a comment on the YouTube side of this, because this video actually, once we go off air here on Google through the Google Hangouts, it'll transfer and go live onto our YouTube account. So we hope if you're watching us there, please feel free to leave comments. We'll stop by and check for those. And if you do leave us a comment, you will be entered to win a paperback copy of Faith and Fidelity. So, okay, I've got one more comment coming in here before I announce the next book. And Nama says that Matt proves he's not a gay for you guy. The notion is romantic that they're just inexperienced. Yeah. So you're right. Society doesn't really push men to check the options. That's fantastic. Yes. And I think it is a society thing. It's like, what the expectations are. And I think that there is a lot of judgment there. I can't speak to the fact whether or not they're just inexperienced bisexual, because I don't think that you can. I do think that, that there are different areas of the spectrum, and everybody kind of falls in their own way. So I'd hate to like slap that label on, but it makes it pretty difficult for that. So, okay, here we go. Our next Dream Readers book is one that actually it's another gateway book for a lot of folks. It's one of those that's, again, a beloved author, a beloved series, and I absolutely cannot wait. We also have another book in this series coming out and during the month of May. Has anybody guessed what it is yet? No? If you have not, the next Dream Readers title will be Promises by Marie Sexton, one of my all-time favorite books, and I really cannot wait to talk to everybody about it. So for the next 48 hours, sorry about 24, I'll leave you a note and let you know. I think the Benadryl really has just kicked in. It will be on sale for 75% off, but we have a very short window of time. If you do not have Promises, you're going to want to go pick that up. And Marie will be with us, and we will be talking about Promises next month. And I really cannot wait. So thank you guys for joining us tonight as we talked about Tere Michaels' Faith and Fidelity, an amazing author and an amazing series. I'm so glad you were here. For those of you who won one of our Dream Readers giveaways, please be sure to send me an email, poppy@dreamspinnerpress.com, and with your mailing address, and I will get your prizes out to you. And thanks again for coming, guys. I really appreciate it. So excited to be here with you. And we will be back next month, and we'll create an event for that, let everybody know when it's going to be. We are the second Monday of the month, and we will be back here talking about promises. We'll see you next time. Good night, everybody.